vacation story. Winter's just about over, right? Okay, spring's here on the 19th. Right now, I want you to listen to this offer. You call today, you get 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. It's any style, it's any size, it's any color. Free windows. You want more free? No down payment, no interest for how long? We've extended the offer. It's 2 years. You can pay for these in 2 years. 200,000 installs last year, 99% of them fitting the first time. I don't know what more to say. Listen to this. 2 free windows with every 2 you buy, no limit, plus no down payment, no payment of any kind for 2 years. 866-90-NATION. This is Dan Rivers. I hope you'll take advantage of this. 866-90-NATION. This won't last. 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. Folks who suffer from arthritis, back pain, knee pain, bursitis, or fibromyalgia, learn about targeted pain relief in just 15 minutes. Listen to Discoveries in Health this Sunday morning at 8:30, right here on News Radio 570 WKBN.
Hi, I'm Brandon Webb, former Navy SEAL and New York Times bestselling author. If you're like me, you want real security and defense news you can trust. You're probably tired of hearing the same talking heads, guys who have never seen the front lines, saying the same BS 100 different ways. It's why I founded SOFREP.com, military-grade news produced entirely by our staff of military veteran journalists. Sign up at SOFREP for real news, real experience, real experts. SOFREP does what the mainstream media can't, deliver authentic content straight from the front lines. Sign up for a free trial membership today, and I'll give you my best-selling ebook, The Red Circle, for free. But that's not all. Your SOFREP membership also includes access to cutting-edge defense and security news by military experts, access to our award-winning documentaries, ebooks, special member events, and much more. So what are you waiting for? Let us know you're in. Sign up for your free trial membership today. Join our community at SOFREP.com. That's SOFREP.com.
All right, welcome everybody. This is the Youngstown Computer Show. I am Joe Danier, owner of Youngstown Computer, host of this show, and we put this on for you on the weekends, talk about things that are happening in tech. I leave the floor open and the podium up, ready for all of you. Premise of the show is that, if we kind of urge you guys into something that may be a little intimidating, give you free reign here to be able to ask your questions and to warm up and get comfortable with this technology that's in front of us. And it really is, as much of the stresses and the anxiety that goes along with what's happening right now, it is an exciting time for technology, because think about it like this. This is sort of like the dress rehearsal when we get to put our sophisticated these technical tools in front of people and see what we can do. We have schools that are going to go within a couple weeks be able to roll out and do instruction and schooling via remotely the remote classroom. And so I'm really anxious to see what they're able to put together in this short term, because these are kind of things that you would take years and years to be able to put together, and because it's necessary, this is the big game here. So we'll see what we can do. So all program long, I'd like to share some ideas that I have, as well as if you have any ideas about things that we can do remotely and from home if we are separated from people and aren't allowed to be around other people. What are the different utilities you as technical people use in order for that to happen? So I will tell you this, that's the number one question going into the last couple of weeks is customers asking about switching things over so that they can start extending remote abilities to their employees, salespeople, outside people, and then also having some people that could be pushed out into the field. And they're going to be, experimenting with that kind of stuff. So all program long, if you have stuff that you already do or ideas that you might have, and you're picturing this virtual classroom and things that these teachers and boards can put in place to keep, the education stuff flowing. I know of a lot of you are homeschoolers out there, and you already do a good bit of web instruction. And so that's what we're going to spend a lot of time today talking about, because why not take advantage of the opportunity to try this stuff out? Because what else do you have to do, right? We could just plug in the next 3 weeks and do nothing and feel sorry for ourselves and get caught up in the drama and really get sucked into it and just worry about things. Or it could be like, hey, you know what? We got lots of time on our hands now. It's relatively, society is relatively safe at this point. So let's see if we can try some new stuff. And so even if you're on the, even on the commercial side where you own a business and you are contemplating allowing some people, especially when they're sick, if you want to have them be able to stay connected with Office, or even when they're not sick, be able to allow them to work from home. I had a really good meeting yesterday, and let me tell you, the discussions of employers. There are some jobs, commission-based jobs where you're not being paid by the hour, that is so super simple, just to allow people to go do their thing, because if they do sales, it doesn't matter if they're in the office or in their car or out in the field or wherever it is, they're disconnected. But when you have hourly rated people or hourly paid people, it's tougher to be able to account for where people spend their time. When I'm at home, I'm bopping around, and maybe I'm not quite as productive and efficient because of the distractions that your home life presents. And there are only a few of us that can handle the disciplines of being able to do our jobs from home. And so it was a reasonable, what do I do about it? Can I audit it? Can I log it? Can I see what's going into these, deals? And so it's a concern. It's a valid concern as we start embarking on it. But honestly, these are all things that we worked out in time. And if it saves us from pain and hurt, and it allows people to get some work done, because screeching halt is what really, really injures us. Is because orders get canceled, so people get laid off, and paychecks slow down, and people stop spending money, and this big old ball starts rolling. And if we can just get a percentage of what would come to a screeching halt and keep it moving along, we might be onto something. And I honestly think that this pushes. Pushes us in a direction against our, what we'd otherwise be doing, and allows us to embark on this because, like I said in the beginning, what else are we going to do? So it starts with the classrooms. Bunch of you out there are going to be pop open your tablets and your laptops, visiting a website, and getting some either recorded instructions or even live instructions, or at least some work to keep up with your studies. Lots of conversations about those of us who don't have internet. I mean, how many of us are sitting at home right now and don't have a connection? Because you can only assume that most people do until you make it a requirement as part of public education. And then you'll find out real quick that there are probably people sitting around right now that do not have internet capable of doing streaming content. And so that would be an important figure to know. Is it 1%? Is it, is there a way to make it so that every human being gets internet access to a certain level? So anyway, again, reasonable questions when these things arise. So let me share a couple of things that we use in the field. So, most of my office work is done remotely. Okay, so there isn't a single computer that has my stuff on it. I can go pretty much to every computer. I'm sitting in a studio computer right now, and via a remote session, I'm able to see all of my stuff, my documents, and all of the websites I log into, and my emails there. So I'm like not tethered to a single desk in order to get my work done. But that is contemplated ahead of time. Like, I put my stuff on a computer that was accessible to the outside world. So there are some considerations that you have to take in effect. So first off, if you have a Windows 10 professional license, so if a lot of times people ask me, what's the difference between home and professional? Well, here's one of those functions that are built into a professional license. It has a remote desktop license built in. Okay, so what that means is if you messed around with your router and you forward a port, you could allow traffic from the outside world to follow your public IP address through your router, hit one of your computers, and take that computer over remotely by just logging into it. And so if you have Windows 10 Pro, you call your IT person in and say, hey, this computer here, this is Bob's computer, and we'd like Bob to be able to log into it from the field. And can you do that? And IT people are going to say, okay, well, here's the considerations. Number one, once we expose this computer to the outside world, now it has to be super safe, right? Your passwords have to be really sophisticated and change often. You have to make sure that you're not using a standard port. You have to make sure that the port is masked. You want to make sure that antivirus and a whole nother set of standards is delivered to the people who are accessing those things remotely. And so remote desktop, again, there's really no cost other than your IT people to come in and forward a port to that computer. And then Bob goes in and he puts your public IP address, which you could bind it if you've got a domain like youngstowncomputer.com. You can do remote.youngstowncomputer.com and it can forward to your public IP address rather than you having to remember a string of numbers that and dole out to all of your users. You can make it something super simple. Okay, so your IT person can come out and do that port forwarding, and then Bob from the outside world basically goes to every Windows computer on the planet, has a program called Windows or Remote Desktop Connection. And if you open that application, it asks you, computer, and all you do is type in the computer name, which in this case would be your public IP address and that port that we just talked about. If you type the public IP address : the port that your IT person set up, when you hit connect, it goes out to the internet, it goes through your router, and then that desktop, the desktop closes on the real side, and it opens on the remote side. And then a user can just manipulate and open things up and maneuver around it like they were sitting in front of that desk. So it is already super easy to do that. Now, there are different versions and safer versions of doing this. So remember, from the outside world, you want to make sure that only Bob can get to Bob's computer, which means that once you expose that, if somebody has your public IP address, they could try a lot of different things to try to hack that computer that you just set up for them. Now, that port is the only thing that's exposed, but still you have other user accounts, you have different passwords, and so you have to really make sure that that thing is safe, because inside your network, it's safe because there's nothing forwarding to it. But once you expose it to the outside world, you got to make sure that it is super safe. Second thing is VPNs. And you hear a lot about VPN connections when you're just out at hotels or you're just on the internet as a way of masking your location so people can't look at your traffic and collect data on you. It's an anonymous way of going to the internet. Well, VPN connection, when it comes to remote access, is where you're on a computer from your home and you're connected to the internet, and then your computer ties in to either your router or a server, and then it extends your local network to your home office or to your home computer. So your computer can actually move files, open files, participate in that other network, your work network, as if it were sitting there, albeit at a very slower rate than if it were sitting there. So if you're doing things like opening documents, you just go to the same network drives that you normally would when you're at the office, and boom, they open right up. And then you save them, and they save back. So that connection creates a tunnel between your home computer or your home network and your work network, and it encrypts it so that it's a secure channel between the two. So where that works out, think of it this way. We're remote desktop versus VPN. Let's just say you have QuickBooks, and your company file is 500 megabytes, right? If you're on a VPN, in order to open that file, you have to drag the entire file over your VPN connection and then open it. So if you have really big files, then VPN isn't really your best option because you have to, like I said, the internet, you're pulling it down internet, which is considerably slower than your office network. Now, if it's just documents, VPN's amazing because it's secure. It doesn't expose that local computer to as much threat as the RDP connection would expose it to. So that's the distinction, and that's something you consider as if you're a business owner, whether or not you want to extend VPN access versus remote desktop access. Now, what we do is we will set up a server that is specifically cordoned off as a remote computer. So it's the operating system is locked down. The security preferences are locked down. It's more secure than your regular desktop computer. So when we put a remote computer on this remote server, you're not coming in as Bob. Bob's not coming into his own computer. He's coming into the version of his computer that's more locked down. So let's just say he's out of the office. You want to give him some access. Then you just load up the stuff that you want him to have access to remotely on that computer. And that's a way of making sure that it's more locked down, It's a little bit safer, and it's a little bit more restricted because when Bob's off-site and he can get into his computer versus when he's on-site, you could have some oversights with him when he's in the office that you might not be able to, like somebody being able to come into Bob's office when he's not sitting there and start, drumming on the keys and deleting company files, that kind of a thing. All right. So anyway, if you have any ideas about what you do to extend remote access to you yourself, especially in times like this where, you might be able to get some work done even though you can't go into the office because everybody's sick or you don't want to bring your sicknesses in there. You just want to stay away from people for a little while. You can share them with me, 330-729-9977, or you can text me all program long, 330-333-1570. And I will tell you that because these questions have been asked a lot this week, we are going to service out our customers first. And I appreciate all of the new customers who have asked, but I want to make sure because we are in these times that all of our current customers sort of get first priority and that we make sure that they're completely good because there's going to be a lot of work to do in a short period of time as we put this together because we got to react as fast as the broader, society around us and make those changes. Because if we're behind the 8 ball and somebody's got to come to work 5 more days than necessary, then that's not something we want to get into. But so again, if you're a current customer, feel free to let us know your plans. And honestly, if you're a new customer or haven't dealt with this before, feel free as well to let us know, and we'll keep you in the loop whether or not we can field you out or not. Phone number for our office, 330-259-7278. You can call, leave me a message, and then we'll talk going into this week and see if we can get you on the schedule. So all program long, we're going to talk about this. So we're going to introduce a couple more strategies for doing remote stuff. 330-729-9977 is the phone number. You can text me at 333-1570. You're listening to the Youngstown Computer Show on 570 WKBN. We'll be right back.
Right now, President Trump in the White House briefing room. He just said he has been tested for the coronavirus. This a day after he declared a national emergency to free up billions in funds and streamline regulations to speed up coronavirus testing.
We also reached an agreement yesterday on a new legislative package that will provide strong support for American families and communities in dealing with the coronavirus.
Members of the media had their temperatures taken before the president's briefing. The House passing that coronavirus aid package, which now moves to the Senate. Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
There's a crisis in this country, and we have to move quickly. So I'm glad that Congress took the lead last night and passed a proposal that will really help. And it's a proposal aimed at the people who need help.
His state of New York reporting its first coronavirus death today. Dave Packer, ABC News.
From iHeartRadio, #1 for podcasts, The Ron Burgundy Podcast.
In the past, we've tackled important issues like bullying awareness, cybersecurity, and probably the topic that's most worthy of continuous vital discussion, EDM music. I'm not afraid to ask the tough questions. I'm also not afraid of throwing real softballs when I'm intimidated. We've got stuff up our sleeve for Season 3 that's going to blow your mind.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/trial. That's ZipRecruiter.com/trial.
It may not be stomach issues.
For me, it's intense gas, or pain, or diarrhea, sometimes all at once, over and over.
I spent years with the symptoms, but could never figure it out.
No matter what I did, they never went away. So I decided to break it down for my doctor and get really specific about my symptoms.
We discovered that exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, may be the reason for my stomach issues.
EPI is caused by my pancreas. It leads to diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools. The symptoms just don't go away.
But EPI can show up with even one symptom.
The good news? EPI is manageable.
But to get to the right diagnosis, you have to break it down for your doctor and get specific about the severity of your symptoms.
Visit identifyepi.com to learn more and use the symptom checker to help change the conversation with your doctor. Brought to you by AbbVie.
Make tires for less your first pit stop inside Fairway Ford Canfield. 702 Tires. Tires for less. Proud sponsor of Car Care.
Quiet, comfort, and affordability. The most important things when choosing a place to live. Westchester Square Apartments offers something to fit every need and budget. 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, and studio apartments. They rent apartments, but they sell convenience. You can find luxury living at Westchester Executive Apartments, 1,200 square feet of upscale living with carports, or independent senior living at Westchester Commons, strategically located in the center of Austintown, right next to Route 11. For the perfect apartment, call 330-799-5758. Come and be a good neighbor in a community of good neighbors. Westchester Square Apartments, Austintown.
There are better-known tractors in the world than Coyote. Ones with bigger names, longer histories, more popular hats, cute toy lines. But there's not a single tractor ever been built that's better equipped to do the dirty work. So we'll just focus on what really matters. Coyote, we dig dirt. Stop in to your locally owned Evolution Ag in Lisbon or at evolutionagllc.com.
Americans are always on the move. We're in the car, we're at the office, we're working around the house. So how do you connect with all those moving targets? Easy, with radio. Radio reaches 93% of Americans every week, more than Google, Facebook, even television. Because hey, who has time to sit and watch TV? So when you want to connect with all those constantly moving adults, teens, and millennials, get to iHeartMedia.com and put AM/FM radio to work for your company.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is the Youngstown Computer Show. I'm Joe Danier, owner of Youngstown Computer. We could talk about things that are related to remote, and they're separating us from gathering in large groups, and which means that we've got to sort of change our habits a little bit. And technology allows us to do some of this stuff that they're forcing us into anyway. So if you have some ideas of ways that you use technology to accomplish this kind of stuff, and again, parents and kids, you're going to be doing a lot of your schooling. Like I said, this is a dress rehearsal for what is to come in the future, where education can come from some place outside of the classroom. So expect when we get into this, it's going to be real cumbersome. It's going to be real clunky. A lot of this stuff exists, but it's not been implemented. And teachers have literally been given like a day to be able to root out how this is actually practiced and put out there. So expect, extend some grace to these educators as they roll this stuff out. But again, we're going to get a real good glimpse as to what's possible and what already exists. And I'm hopeful that when we start seeing this, that a lot will say, hey, you know what? There is a lot of stuff that we go into groups and do things publicly that part of it's not necessary. I mean, my personal opinion is that I think that schooling is really slow. And I think with technology, we could speed up the academic process so that it doesn't quite take, a decade of your life to get through 12th grade. I think that we can shorten that by the use of technology, because once you put us in a once you put us into groups, things slow down considerably. Where when you can have a portion of your education be self-guided or through technology, and then you get the other kind of stuff, the stuff that it struggles more with a group setting. Maybe you go to school for that part and you stay at home for the other part, and then hybrid between the two can give us, you might have kids ready for college, 3 or 4 years sooner than they are right now. And I just think the access to information is so much better than it is before. And if we just use technology with the proper distribution, I think we can not speeding up for the sake of speeding it up. I'm thinking we end up losing a lot of kids just because of the slow pace. Especially me. If I couldn't find a practical use for what I was being taught, I was checked out. I was interested, in the short term. But then my mind started wondering, like, what the heck am I going to do with this thing? And there are a lot of me's out there that get lost in the shuffle. So, again, I think technology can help us with the distribution of information to people. So I appreciate everyone out there who's, with the kind words. I mean, we're settling people down and we're giving a healthy dose of hope and optimism. And these useful distractions and these conversations about what's happening keep us all engaged so that we just don't go down that technological rabbit hole where we get to worry and be anxious about everything. This will all we'll all come together. This will all be over shortly, and things will continue on. We just have to make sure we take care of each other in the short term. So anytime you have the opportunity to pop up and make someone's life a little bit better in these crisis times, I mean, we can do it. I mean, we're a great country, great people, great work ethic, and I think if we're given reason to come up and take care of each other, I think we do in droves. So appreciate all of you out there. You can call me all program long, 330-729-9977, or you can text me at 330-333-1570. At the top of the hour, we have a guest coming in, a student from Champion High School who we did the Titan Challenge earlier this week, so we're going to check in with him as well. You're listening to the Youngstown Computer Show on 570 WKBN. I'll be back.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/trial. That's ZipRecruiter.com/trial.
Here's some of the stories we're following today. The man being treated in Trumbull County for coronavirus at St. Joseph Warren Hospital has been identified. Youngstown State says all on-campus courses will be delivered remotely starting March 23rd through the end of the semester. Students do not have to return to campus after spring break. Hollywood Gaming in Austintown made an announcement to players last night telling them to cash out because they were closing due to the coronavirus. It comes after the governor in Ohio banned mass gatherings of 100 people or more. A Kinsman man was taken to the hospital after a head-on collision on Route 193 in Johnston Township. A pair of Youngstown shooting suspects have been indicted, charged with a shooting at a Wayside Drive home that injured 2 victims. Mahoning County Sheriff Jerry Green announced yesterday visitation of prisoners at the Mahoning County Adult Justice Center will be suspended. A Youngstown man accused of providing an East Palestine man with drugs that took his life a year ago has been indicted, and 3 men, 2 of them firefighters, are in the Lawrence County Jail accused of going on an arson spree. From the Power Chevrolet Buick GMC of Calcutta, Ohio newsroom, I'm Dave Price.
Our next update at 2. From the O'Charley's Digital Studios, $9.99 menu, 9 great meals, 1 great price. O'Charley's. For your home or business, call Mazza's Heating and AC in Girard, 330-545-6063. Your factory authorized Bryant dealer. Now, the Storm Team 27 forecast.
By this afternoon, clouds increase. Temperatures work their way to the low 40s, and by late day, early evening, the chance for rain or rain-snow mix will be possible. Tonight, that rain-snow mix continues, not adding up to much, very little accumulation, temperatures dipping into the upper 20s. In the Storm Team 27 Weather Center, I'm Alexis Walters.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-276-1640. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-276-1640. That's 800-276-1640 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-276-1640. 800-276-1640.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/trial. That's ZipRecruiter.com/trial.
Do you check your Google search results regularly? You should. People often get their first impression of you or your business online. Negative comments on the internet can impact your life and your livelihood. Take control of your online reputation. Get your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com. It may reveal negative posts from an ex-employee, upset patient or client, news article, legal issue, or even exposed personal information right there in your Google search results. Uncover what's lurking on the internet about you with reputationdefender.com's patented scan and get your free reputation report card. Or for immediate assistance with your reputation, call 800-486-2205. Our cutting-edge technology helps make your Google search results look their best. Call 800-486-2205. That's 800-486-2205. 800-486-2205. Or take the free scan at reputationdefender.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is the Youngstown Computer Show. I am Joe Danier, owner of Youngstown Computer and host of this show. We open up the podium to all of you all program long, so if there's anything you want to know or ask, feel free, take advantage of the time. Not just the remote access and the stuff that we're dealing with now. If you have any type of computer question, feel free, 330-729-9977. You can also text all program long on a bunch of text messages I've got to get caught up on right now, so let's get started there. Let's see. All right, these get blocked. Sometimes they get separated, and this is a $5, so I'm going to actually read that at the break because that's going to be a lot to get through. So I do want to make this warning, and I've passed this information around to quite a few companies, but this also applies to you as consumers. Whenever I come across a really wild virus, I make sure that all of you have an awareness because this is like real world stuff here, and so there's an encryption virus that made its way around this last week, and basically what encryption viruses work is that they will typically come in through an email, and somebody you correspond with, an email will come in and say, hey, your PO is attached or your invoice is attached or something like that, something to draw your attention to it, that a PDF, a important document is waiting for you to view. And you double click on this and nothing really happens. So you think nothing of it and you walk away and you come in the next morning and your computer's not working. And so what ends up happening when you double click on that icon for the file, what it does is it begins encrypting your local files. And first it starts with things in like your My Documents, and then it does your desktop. And then it starts to travel where it starts to find your map network drive. So if you have like a network drive, it might follow the path to your network drive. And then it starts to travel with unpublished things as well. So you have these viruses that encrypt things. Now, once a file is encrypted with this virus, it really can't be unencrypted unless the person who authored the encryption gives you the key. So what they do is, that's why they call it ransomware, is that they hold your files hostage and they ask that you pay them a ransom. And in this case, this one we ran across was like $100,000 in ransom. And then you pay the $100,000 in ransom to this person, and hopefully they give you the key, and then you unlock all of your files. Now, it's in their best interest to give you the key, because if they gave you the money and nobody ever gave you the key, then people would not pay it. So it's in their interest to actually do it. But if they don't, what happens if they only do half of your files? What, are you going to call customer support and complain? And so it's really important that you understand how these things work. So number one is you see it come in and you don't fall victim to it. That's number one. Number two is that you can assume that at one point you're going to do something stupid, you're going to click on it, and then you're going to be able to have to recover from that. And a lot of places, your backups are essential. Being able to say, screw you to the people who infected you, don't pay the ransom, and just restore your stuff back from the previous backup that you've had. That's awesome. Now, the problem is that these wild ones really not only affect your computer and your network drives and your data, but then they go looking for your backups. So then they start infecting your backups. And if you don't catch it in time and you only have single backups, then your backup ends up overwriting the good copy and putting the copy that's encrypted. So then your backup's no good. So you got to be really careful and know how this is happening. You got to say, okay, well, I need some redundancy for hardware failure. Cool. Then I also need some redundancy in case of some kind of revision where someone does something in a document and needs to go back a couple copies. You got to think of that way. And then the last one is going to be able to something physically disconnected, like a cloud backup or something that is hidden from the rest of the network, or You just have a couple of hard drives that you cycle out. You have 2 hard drives. You take one off site, you keep one on site, and then the one that you have off site can't be infected, and so that becomes your lifeboat in case one of these things happened. But I want to give you fair warning on it that when these things go around, they usually go around for a little while, and then a patch gets released, and then they can't do the thing anymore, and then things will settle down. But right now, when we see a couple of them pop up, it's worthwhile to tell you all about it to be careful about those viruses. So 330-729-9977. Let's go to Kristen. Kristen, you're on the Youngstown Computer Show. How can I help you?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can. You there?
Hello?
Yep, I hear you.
Okay, cool. So I'm glad we caught you on the radio today. I listen to you often on Saturdays, and I love it when you substitute during the week. So,
oh, thank you.
Anyway, my husband has been in construction his whole life, and he is now 60, and his knees and joints are wearing out a little. So he just passed his home inspection license, and we were looking for a tablet to be able to have him do his Word docs on a tablet as he's out in the field. So I was thinking we could probably get away with maybe $500 or so, but when we just looked at Best Buy, everything was $799, $999, and then you bought the Office package either where it was a once in a lifetime, or you buy it once, or you can purchase it yearly with each of the updates. So I remember you saying one time that you love to help local businesses and you might be able to better fine-tune things. So I was wondering your opinion, or if you have some options or ideas.
Okay, so we just had one of these a couple days ago. And so Microsoft puts out a version of the operating system, and I think it's called like the S version. And basically, it's HP is probably I think the favorite vendor of this flavor of operating system. And it's in the range of about like $300. We just had one come through our office the other day, and it's spec-wise, it's totally capable of getting you on the internet and capable of running Office 365. It's not the full version of Windows, so you can't do anything. You're limited as to the applications that you can put on there. But it sounds like it's a full-blown laptop. It's not touch screen or anything like that, but it has the capabilities of doing what we're talking about. Now, are you for sure?
What about pictures? Do you think it would do that, or would he have to do a phone picture and then upload?
Like taking the pictures?
Yeah, if he had to document things like for the home inspection with pictures, I guess that computer pictures, we'd have to use a phone. Is there a tablet version of that would take pictures also?
Good question, because most of the tablets, if the Windows-based ones, like you found out, were a little expensive, and then the two-in-ones, the tablet and laptops, again, are pretty expensive. You might want to do that where you get the cheap laptop that can do all of the function, and then maybe have like a phone that you can plug into the laptop and then have all of your storage be on the phone, or an external drive or a flash drive, something like that. You're going to probably, if you're looking to save costs, you're probably going to have to take a hybrid version.
Okay, and not necessarily looking to go cheap, but do you think just for the overall package to just pay the more money and not have to do all that other stuff would be easier in the end?
And again, the more money is basically going to build more capabilities in single devices. So it's going to be more for convenience.
Okay.
I think the performance goes up a little bit, where if you get more of a laptop, it's going to run a little bit faster and be a little bit more dependable. But like I said, if price is your only concern, then I would go that first example. If you can free up a couple $100 extra, get into I have this one Dell computer that I swear I paid $400 and some. I put a solid state hard drive into it. It folds so that when we don't want it to be in laptop mode, you can put it in tablet mode, and that thing has been amazing. It is the best $700 that I've ever spent.
Okay, and that's not something that you sell, right? Instead of getting it from a big box.
Well, if you can benefit from buying from me, I'll usually tell you. But in this case, usually the retail can outdo what my reps can do at Dell. So I won't have you just buy it from me for the sake of doing it. But I really appreciate you trying to give me the business if we could take it.
Yeah, Yeah, no, I love listening to you, and I learn something every time. So, very, very helpful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Kristen. Appreciate it. And and that's the game that you play with hardware. When a lot of times when, especially like the computers that we manufacture. Okay, I tell you from the get-go that most of the time they're more money than if you just go off of buy something off the shelf. So when someone comes to me and says, "Hey, I want the cheapest computer possible," the stuff I put together is not that, right? It's not built for price. What I put together is a middle of the road, so it's not on the low end, it's not on the high end. You've got all of that research and development money already worked out of it, but you put the consistency, the de-integrations in it, and it's something that I feel like I could support better than anything else. So when somebody loses one of our computers in the field, I could either swap components out it or just give you a brand new computer if the motherboard goes out or something like that. But I pick components that have a failure rate that is lower than everything else. So they publish these failure rates. And so basically when you have a component, what is the likelihood in the short term and over 4 or 5 or 6 years for that piece of equipment to go bad? Well, when your quality is good and you buy on the top end of the curve, that equipment ends up lasting longer. If it's cheaper materials, then the solders are less quality. They don't put as many fans, so the temperatures are higher. It has a higher failure rate. So if you like, I look to squeeze 2 or 3 more years out of my equipment in comparison. So my stuff might cost $150 more, but it might last you, 2 more years than it would have. And at $200 a year in what we should be averaging for a computer's replacement cost, it's right in there. So if I get you 2 more years and it's a higher performer and I could support it better, and you're cool with paying $200 more and you can pull it off the shelf, then that's a good deal. But our customers have been great, and just like our last caller there, you've listened to me for a while, and you always try to bring business my way, and I really do appreciate that loyalty. The people in this listening audience and what they're willing to do to make sure that we all stay in business and the money gets passed here. I made you the promise that I'm going to try to spend as much money locally as I can. Local service companies, local equipment, paying up for the people that work for me. I always try to make sure that everybody gets gets a piece of it. And that's where, in our valley, that's what it's about. I mean, I don't look to begrudge anybody from making a buck here. And I appreciate that all of you are supportive in that way, because that's the way we bring a community back from wherever we've been. And it's not just applies to Youngstown, we're every community. Everybody goes through these dips where we struggle for a little while, and then we make invent ourselves, and we reemerge as a different. Pittsburgh did it, Cleveland did it, Indianapolis did it. I mean, every major city has done just that. And if you look downtown at the stuff that we're doing, how involved and integrated we are in the tech, it's just a matter of time. And as long as we allow that fertile ground to keep going, there'll be people that, come into the market and invent. And when they invent, we support them. And when they make mistakes, we help lift them up. And when they struggle, we do what we can. And it's a beautiful thing. I think Youngstown and the way we treat each other and how eager we are to jump in there and help other people is what sets us apart from other cities. I'm telling you, thick or thin, all of you have always been there for me from the very beginning. And I'm not lily white. I mean, I made some mistakes too, and we've come through and made everything right. But all of you have stuck by me. And every time I ask you, hey, we're this weekend we're going to put together some sandwiches, right? So if kids are out of school, they can't get the same lunches that they normally do, so we're going to package these up and hand them out. Whenever we see a need where somebody might be struggling, I mean, we'll do what we can to be able to help. So I predict first couple weeks of this new education from home stuff, there's going to be some people that are struggling with computers and it's not working right or not how to do. If we can find a way to fill ourselves in there and help people out outside of the scope of serving the community, we'll absolutely do it, because we're all in when it comes to supporting each other. So when it's time to support ourselves and make money, we'll do that. When it's time to support our community and help pull people up, we'll do that too. So again, appreciate that phone call. And again, we're always bought in, no matter what. Okay, so whatever we do at home, Joe, without our, and this is going to be, I'm going to have to write this one down because I'm sorry, your text message got split up in like 5 parts, and it's really a struggle to read. And I know you're waiting for me to respond, but I apologize that I can't do that. So what we did the other day was Junior Achievement. Okay, the nonprofit group that basically takes business ideals and mechanisms and goes around to our high schools and teaches kids about entrepreneurship. They hold a Titan Challenge every year. And for the last 5-6 years or so, we've volunteered. Myself has volunteered. And we went out to the schools, and we actually mentor a group. I've picked a different school every year, and this year it was Champion. And so in the next hour, we're going to have one of the kids that that was on the team through the Titan Challenge come in and talk to us about the experience. So we'll stay tuned for that. And all program long, like I said, if you have any experience or exposure to remote access and what you plan on doing if you're self-quarantined into the home and you need to get some work done, what it is that you do. And again, you got to check with your employer in the IT department to make sure that you don't set up any exposures where you put them at risk, where you do, so for instance, like there's a program called TeamViewer, TEAM Viewer, Team Viewer. And you install this program on a host computer, and you connect it to an email address. And regardless if you've done any kind of port forwarding or firewalls or anything, you can have TeamViewer send a remote session out through regular open web channels. And then at home, you open up TeamViewer, you log into your account, you see your work computer sitting there, you double click on that work computer, and then you can access your work computer from home. And so extremely valuable in a pinch. Now, it's only supposed to be for personal use. The licensing does not extend for commercial uses, so you got to be sure to follow the guidelines of licensing restrictions. But they do have a professional version. So if you want to extend computer usage to Teams and you don't want to do a lot of infrastructure changes, TeamViewer might be a good option. Go to Assist is also another one where it's a subscription-based service where you sign up with an account and pay a monthly fee. I think it's $70 a month, and you can drop these unattended assistants on there, and then again you show the list of computers that are available. You double-click on them, and now you have remote access to those computers. So there's versions of it that don't even really require IT people. If you just wanted it in a pinch, had to bug out and leave for the day, and you wanted to open it for use when you get home, those are two programs that are fairly easy to use that do that same stuff. So again, TeamViewer and go to Assist. All right, we're going to come back right from this break, and we'll take some more of your calls, 330-729-9977. You can also text me at 333-1570. You're listening to the Youngstown Computer Show on 570 WKBN. I'll be back.
President Trump announcing that he has been tested for the coronavirus. In the White House briefing room today, the president saying he should get results in a day or two. Mr. Trump praising this country's response to the coronavirus outbreak thus far.
The American people have been incredible in the way they've acted. There's been, and if you look at companies and sports leagues and all of the things, what they've done is just something very special.
The president and everyone in the briefing room had their temperature taken before the briefing. Vice President Mike Pence, minutes later, stepping up to the podium, announcing an expansion of the travel ban.
The president has made a decision to suspend all travel to the United Kingdom and Ireland effective midnight, Monday night, Eastern Standard Time.
Meanwhile, in New York, that state reporting its first coronavirus death. That brings the total number of U.S. deaths from COVID-19 to at least 49. I'm Dave Packer, ABC News.
You want that new or used vehicle, but your credit score isn't exactly what you need? You work hard, you've always paid your bills. Who can you turn to? Hi, this is Tino Merlo from Toyota of Warren. Stop in and see me or my staff. Toyota of Warren's here to help, and we can get you financed.
100 million people suffer from pain every day, including talk show host Larry King. Tune in Sunday morning at 7 and see how Larry King improved his quality of life with everyday pain management. That's Sunday morning at 7 on 570 WKBN.
Four Seasons Flea Market at 3000 McCartney Road, open every Wednesday and Sunday from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. with close to 100 small businesses under one roof, all offering something different, like fresh produce, baked goods, fresh flowers, sports memorabilia, masseuse, and palm reader. Or how about knives and more for the outdoorsman? Four Seasons Flea Markets offers homemade oils and scents, plus T-shirts and pet items. Stop by Four Seasons Flea Market, McCartney Road in Youngstown.
The free iHeartRadio app is always here to make sure you have access to the information you need to stay connected and informed during uncertain times. iHeartRadio allows you to access your favorite stations anytime and anywhere, plus 24/7 national news channels like NBC News Radio. We even have frequently updated podcasts in our health category, like CNN's Coronavirus, Fact versus Fiction, and our own daily coronavirus podcast with multiple updates per day. Always free and there when you need to stay informed. Download the iHeartRadio app.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is the Youngstown Computer Show. I am Joe Danier, owner of Youngstown Computer, host of this program. All program long, feel free to get on the lines, 330-729-9977. I did read that text message, and basically the sentiment was that there was a whole generation of you that survived just perfectly without any kind of technology or internet, and they're basically like, get off your butt and figure it out. Don't be such sissies. Go out there and do stuff. And there is generations that are completely tied and tethered to this stuff and don't know how to survive without it. And so we're going to prove, like, when you desocialize us and put us into groups, like how well can we perform? And I honestly think that human beings are just so elastic, and we just figure it out. And our whole biology is to survive and overcome stuff like this. So I don't think this is going to be a challenge at all, honestly. I think we'll come through on all of this and make our way, and we'll become stronger, because of it. And so the only thing us as human beings, the choice that we have is to try to take the people who are suffering and aren't making it well and try to aid them. That's really all that we can do. I mean, we're passengers on this one. So if your neighbors and friends are really struggling and you have the ability to assist and help, I mean, jump in there and get your hands dirty and take care of one another. Because again, we're going to be made whole on out of this. Human beings have survived tons of these go rounds, and so this is not unique by any means. Let's see, 330-729-9977. You can also text me at 333-1570. All program long, I'll have the podium open to all of you. So premise of the show is this. So we have groups in our society that are younger and middle and older, right? And so the older groups, from the very inception of the show, have always needed to be coaxed into technology because they grew up 40 years of their lives without having to use technology. They liked paper trails, and they liked talking to people, and they developed social skills that had nothing to do with these phones. So they come from the deal where they know how to do it the right way, and they're only halfway tempted or halfway engaged when it means to try to do something different. Most of us have been forced to do smartphones and internet and email and texting, right? So you almost have to warm up to some of it just to participate, in the grander scheme of things. But this show, what it did was it extended to those people who are kind of gruff and kind of resistant to it, but gave you a non-intimidating place to be able to learn about it. And I don't try to hammer you with you're not good at this, right? I don't use big words that try to go over your head. We talk about this in a practical way. You get to open up and be vulnerable, and we talk about it as a community. And if I don't know answers to your questions, we open it up to a wide swath of people who do know the answers. And through this show, we answer those questions. And when you ask a question that you might even think is kind of silly or novice, you're helping a lot of other people that were too bashful to call. So we always take every question with its proper level of importance, because we help lots and lots and lots of people who don't know. They call themselves neophytes. They say they're not good at it. They're self-described that they're behind the eight ball. And this show allows them to you listen to the words and listen to the conversations, and you cannot help but pick it up just through osmosis. You absorb it into your brain. And so that's what we, listen to 2 or 3 of these shows and just try to absorb some of the language. And when you find something that you don't understand or you want to know more about, feel free to ask us about it and ask me about it, and do it through text messaging first. It's easy, right? You can send a text message to 330-333-1570. I'll read it on the air and I'll answer it, and you're completely anonymous. We won't know even who asked the question. And so that is my invite, is to all of you novices, that you're welcome here. And I hope that a lot of people who are resistant to it maybe warm up to it, because it's a lot of fun. Hit a Saturday, digging your heels into something that you've never done before, and doing some experimentation. I think that's what human beings are so good at, is just getting into that new stuff and getting in that experimental mode. All right, next we got Brandon in the studio. We're going to talk about the Titan Challenge for Junior Achievement. You're listening to the Youngstown Computer Show on 570 WKBN. We'll be back.
Hey, it's Lindsay Watts with the Mix Morning Show, and if you're looking for a community for your loved one, you're looking for things like compassion and understanding. Windsor House has been serving the Valley for over 60 years, providing short-term rehabilitation, Alzheimer's care, and assisted living services. After having been to many of their 14 locations across Mahoning Valley, I'm overwhelmed by the warmth and kindness of their staff and the elegance as well as the comfort of their communities. To experience them for yourself, visit WindsorHouseInc.com to schedule a tour.
At Windsor House, we're more than a house, we're a home.
Ah, yes. Lawn treatment season is here. Hours of mixing, spraying, spreading, and hoping you get that beautiful weed-free lawn you want.
Isn't it time you call the professionals at Rankin Lawn Care and use your time for something better?
Like relaxing? Call us at 866-6-RANKIN or just text the word estimate to 27126 and get that beautiful green lawn you deserve. Rankin Lawn Care. Text the word estimate to 27126 to request a free quote today.
On AM and thousands of devices, including Amazon Echo, Google Home, and Sonos. With our iHeartRadio app, 570 WKBN Youngstown.
From
It's
ABC
2 o'clock.
News, I'm Dave Packer. President Trump expanding the European travel ban, suspending all travel to the UK and Ireland, effective midnight Monday night Eastern Time. The president in the White House briefing room today while praising his coronavirus task force.
They're really doing a great job, our professionals. The results are very, very good. And when you compare this to what's happening around the world, we're very proud of our people.
He thinks the Federal Reserve can do more.
I'm not happy because if you look at the central banks of other central banks, largely they're lower than us, their rate.
His words a day after an emergency declaration to free up funds and streamline the fight against the coronavirus. And the president announcing that he's now been tested for COVID-19 and says he expects results in 1 to 2 days. ABC's Aaron Katersky is in New York with word of that state's first coronavirus fatality.
The first person to die of coronavirus in New York was an 82-year-old woman. She had been hospitalized on March 3rd, and she had an underlying respiratory condition, emphysema. Her death was announced by Governor Andrew Cuomo, who said there are now more than 500 cases of coronavirus statewide.
Overseas to Italy, the hardest hit Western nation by the coronavirus. The number of people testing positive now at least 17,750. 275 cases in the last 24 hours, at least 1,441 people dead, 175 in the last 24 hours. In the shadow of the COVID-19 pandemic, Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders making some changes in the way they campaign.
The candidates are now campaigning from a distance. Rallies canceled, door knocking called off, and that Democratic debate happening tomorrow will not have a live audience.
ABC's Rachel Scott in D.C. And in Iraq, 3 Americans and 2 Iraqi service members wounded after a barrage of rockets hit a base housing U.S. and other coalition troops north of Baghdad today, that according to Iraqi security officials. You're listening to ABC News.
The man being treated in Trumbull County for coronavirus at St. Joseph Warren Hospital has been identified as 55-year-old Kevin Harris. Harris was the 5th of 13 confirmed cases of coronavirus in Ohio and the only known case in Trumbull and Mahoning counties at this time. 5 students at Lakeview High School in Cortland have been quarantined due to they may have come in contact with Harris. Youngstown State University will be moving to online classes for the rest of the semester. Students do not need to come back to campus after spring break. All on-campus courses will be delivered delivered remotely starting March 23rd. Hollywood Gaming in Austintown made an announcement to players last night, telling them to cash out because they were closing due to coronavirus. It comes after Ohio Governor Mike DeWine banned mass gatherings of 100 people or more in the state. Several other casinos are following suit. A pair of Youngstown shooting suspects have been indicted. 28-year-old Nicole Taylor of Alliance and 45-year-old Robert Young IV of Austintown both face charges, and each are charged with aggravated burglary and 2 counts of attempted murder. The pair were charged with a shooting at a Wayside Drive home that injured 2 victims. Mahoning County Sheriff Jerry Green announced that the visitation of prisoners at the Mahoning County Adult Justice Center temporarily will be suspended because of the coronavirus, and the lobby of the jail will be closed. Personal visits with inmates at the jail will not take place until the danger of the virus passes. A Youngstown man accused of providing an East Palestine man with drugs that took his life a year ago has been indicted. 24-year-old Tyree Deshaun Robinson of Youngstown was served a secret indictment charging him with involuntary manslaughter. He's in the Mahoning County Jail. 3 men, 2 of them firefighters, are in the Lawrence County Jail accused of going on an arson spree and setting fire to 3 houses and a barn. In custody are 22-year-old Dakota Parker Lee, 19-year-old Thomas Miskaman, and 18-year-old Michael Lambright. All 3 were arrested after a 2-month investigation. From the Power Chevrolet Buick GMC of Calcutta, Ohio newsroom, I'm Dave Price.
For your home or business, call Mazza's Heating and AC in Girard, 330-545-6063. Your factory authorized Bryant dealer. Now, the Storm Team 27 forecast.
By this afternoon, clouds increase. Temperatures work their way to the low 40s, and by late day, early evening, the chance for rain or rain-snow mix will be possible. Tonight, that rain-snow mix continues, not adding up to much, very little accumulation, temperatures dipping into the upper 20s. In the Storm Team 27 Weather Center, I'm Alexis Walters.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/trial. That's ZipRecruiter.com/trial.
Stifel is a full-service firm offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. Stifel, with 3 offices in the Valley with experienced advisors assisting you. Information, visit Stifel.com or call 744-4351. Stifel Nicholas Incorporated.
Hi, I'm Brandon Webb, former Navy SEAL and New York Times bestselling author. If you're like me, you want real security and defense news you can trust. You're probably tired of hearing the same talking heads, guys who have never seen the front lines, saying the same BS 100 different ways. It's why I founded SOFREP.com, military-grade news produced entirely by our staff of military veteran journalists. Sign up at SOFREP for real news, real experience, real experts. SOFREP does what the mainstream media can't, deliver authentic content straight from the front lines. Sign up for a free trial membership today, and I'll give you my best-selling ebook, The Red Circle, for free. But that's not all. Your SOFREP membership also includes access to cutting-edge defense and security news by military experts, access to our award-winning documentaries, ebooks, special member events, and much more. So what are you waiting for? Let us know you're in. Sign up for your free trial membership today. Join our community at SOFREP.com. That's SOFREP.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is the Youngstown Computer Show. This is your show where we talk about things that are happening in tech. Open up the phone lines all program long. Bring guests. We're big entrepreneurs and pro-business people, as well as we talk about physics and science and anything else that's rolling around in my melon. Today we have a guest on. This is Brandon Mackhammer. So am I got that pronouncing your last name right?
It's Mackhammer, but everyone just says Mackhammer.
Mackhammer sounds like it's
Mackhammer
tougher, right?
It does. Like, that's what the whole entire football team calls me, to say Mackhammer.
All right, you're Mackhammer for today at least. So, all right. So we have Brandon here. Brandon was on my team here. We mentored the Champion School in the Titan Challenge. And basically, for those of you who don't know, Junior Achievement, they have put together a business simulation. And so basically what happens is you go through these rounds of a simulator, you pick product costs and product development, and you put these business plans together. Brandon took it super serious. Some years they don't take it serious at all, but you guys were on. So tell me preparation-wise what you guys did to get ready for this.
During our business class, like, we would have days where you just like focus on a game, try to find the best strategy. and I feel like our team had the best strategy out of our whole entire class, and we felt pretty confident that we were going to go in and kick some butt, but we ended up got proven wrong, and they ended up beating us.
Yeah, but you know what? I watched these guys and what they contemplated, and they took. What's nice about it is that an entrepreneur as myself, I get to look at these simulations and see how close to real life these even are. Are these even real situations that translate into the real world? And it really is. Like it's like you played SimCity before and the sim games. It's sort of like that, where when you're playing it, you learn the mechanics of the game more so than do what you would normally do in real life. Well, this simulator, you can't really do that because there's too many variables to try to accommodate. So what you guys did was you were rolling with the frequency that how the other players would. I felt that was pretty good. So how much time did you and your teammates have to practice and put that together?
Oh, we practiced a lot. Like, we really wanted that money. Like, we practiced for at least like 3 weeks beforehand. We thought we had like the perfect strategy and everything. And yeah, we just put a lot of time trying to practice. We could have put more into. If we put more time into practicing, we probably could have came out on top. But yeah.
All right. Well, that was still really good. Honestly, the teams that I've had, they have a qualifying round first, where all of the teams, they have a practice round and then a qualifying round. And if you pass the qualifying round, then you go over and you compete against the other teams. So they only take the top 2 or 3 out of the qualifying rounds to put them in the finals. So you guys did really well. Comparison, all years you guys did the best of any year that we've had there. So I want to compliment you guys on that. So, do you personally, separate from the competition, are you an aspiring entrepreneur? You want to do some business stuff?
Like, I really want to have like a business. I just want to really make anything that makes the most money, which is like business or like getting into finance, stuff like that. All that interests me.
Yeah, let me share this with you. During the place, we talked about 2% the competition and 98% business. So these guys, they were asking questions about, real world life experiences and, the practical mechanics of implementing business. And this is the first time they've ever done this. So you guys know how I start with the crazy talk about physics and time travel and stuff like that. Well, these guys got to hear a sampling because I thought they were ready for it. So what do you think about this crazy dude talking about time travel and string theory in front of a bunch of high schoolers that are trying to do the challenge?
Like, your level of thinking is on a whole different level than mine. I don't think I'm mature enough to understand that. Like, I understand where you're coming from. Like, I see your points of views and stuff, but I don't think I'm ready to like comprehend everything you're throwing at me. Like, that's like a lot of information to like bring in like less than 15 minutes. Like, I was trying to understand it, and I was kind of seeing where you're coming from, but I need like more time to process and like analyze.
Well, that's what we do on this show is that we take these and they're controversial time, and they're provocative on purpose to get your brain to start not just taking what you're used to, but taking considerations that are slightly above what you're processing right now. And I wish schools took a little bigger hand in this, where they got a little provocative and teach you how to think, because honestly, teaching you facts to memorize is way different than putting you out there and letting you interpret and be able to turn things around. So what business, what industries are you most interested in? If you were to start a business tomorrow, where would it be?
Something like stock market space.
Nice.
Like, because I'm really interested in that. I really like the concept of it. It's kind of like a game, but like you can profit off of it. It's like basically like a simulator, but yeah.
All right, last couple of days have been kind of like crapshoots up and down. You make any moves?
Oh, definitely. I've been buying a plethora of stocks.
Okay.
I've been buying a pretty good amount. I'm trying to like not spend all my money just in case something happens. Like, I'm leaving like a little bit of money left over, but I'm definitely buying a lot.
Well, I'll tell you this, and when I first started doing individual stocks, it was almost like college, right? When you're doing it and you're allowed to play through these things, you were learning so much about how this stuff works. So I wouldn't even worry about losing money. Just learn as much as you can about how the system works. Because if you go into it knowing that if you needed to say, okay, well, we can't go and do physical labor anymore, I got to play the stock market, that you have the ability to be able to make money by you're basically lending it to a company that does stuff with it, returns your investment, and then lets you profit off of it. You do that in big enough scale, and I know people who make a living just doing that.
That would be awesome. That's like my dream right there.
What about Bitcoin? You know anything about Bitcoin?
Cryptocurrency?
Yeah.
I know like a little bit. I heard it's like really like unbalanced, and it could like just go crazy any second. I heard some rumors about it, but I haven't really gotten into it too much.
Okay, so when it first it made emerged onto the scene, as a tech company, we kind of like really put some almost a year and a half of experimental stuff into it. And so that at the time we did mining, we did buy selling, we did arbitrage. I mean, we did a whole lot of stuff to really ferret this and figure this out. And then it got to the point where it stressed me out too much because it was, I had, $40,000 worth of mining equipment at any given time. And so I would be at a swim party trying to enjoy some time off, and one of my miners would go down 2 counties away, and then I'd stress that I'm not making money over there, but it's costing me money. And just the way the system works, it just puts a lot of pressure on the operations. And so we bailed on it only because of me, and I don't want to pay attention to it anymore. But as far as like when I first started, the first Bitcoin that I bought was $89.
Oh my!
Right?
Wow.
And so now it's $6,000. So you can see if I were buying with the $6,000 version in mind, I would have bought a lot more, right? But it's completely volatile. It's so risky. It could be worth 0 tomorrow, and I wouldn't put real money. I'd put speculative money in.
What's speculative?
So speculative would be okay. So let's just say you don't know any of the metrics, right? You have a total void of what's going to happen next. So literally, Bitcoin could be worth $1 million a coin, or it could be worth 0. So if you take all of the money that you have and you put it in Bitcoin and it goes to 0, you're screwed. If you do that and it goes up to $1 million, you're really happy. So speculative is only taking a tiny portion of it and putting in the highest risk, highest volatility investments. So contractors will do spec houses where they'll do speculation on an area where they put a house in a development that's away from everybody, and you might be wrong where you placed it, and you might get stuck with it. So your highest risk is what goes in your speculative version of investments. Wow, I really went on a tangent there, didn't I?
We went from like stock market to
yeah. So every time I get in front of a high schooler, I pick your brain more than you pick my brain. Okay, so I'm going to ask you some things. In this audience, we have a lot of 40, 50, 60-year-old business owners, entrepreneurs, and they look at you as the unobtainable market. Okay, they don't know how to reach you. They don't know how to get you to buy their products. They know that maybe you'll warm up to them eventually, but they don't really know what to do. So they're running their advertising and their marketing for people who they have some kind of knowledge of. So, for instance, let's just go down the normal marketing deals. So, do you listen to AM or FM radio at all?
No, I do not. I usually just connect my Bluetooth to my car and listen to that.
Okay, so no AM, FM at all. Do you watch any broadcast television or cable television?
Used to, but not anymore.
Okay, so no cable, no broadcast. Do you stream any television, not movies, just television?
Like Netflix?
No, television, like a show, like comes like a weekly show, like Walking Dead or.
No, I do not. I do not watch any of those.
No shows whatsoever. Do you? Okay, so you watch movies on Netflix.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me what you do consume.
What I do consume, like YouTube. I go on YouTube a lot and watch YouTube videos about certain things. That's basically my main streaming service. I just watch YouTube, Netflix, the occasional, play Xbox in my free time. But that's about it.
So YouTube. Now, do you listen? Do you have a way of not listening to the advertisements, or do you listen to the advertisements?
I listen to the advertisements. Like if they intrigue me, I'll like sit there and watch them. But yeah, I tend to listen to them.
Okay, what about music? How do you get your music?
I pay $10 a month for Apple Music, but it has no advertisements.
No advertisements. Yes. Okay, so your music is void of that. You stream your place on Netflix, and you stream any of the content you look up on YouTube. How do you communicate with people? Is it
Snapchat?
Snapchat. So that's like messaging through Snapchat and using pictures and messaging. No texting, no SMS.
I do that, but like my main is Snapchat. But if somebody doesn't have Snapchat, I would text them like stuff.
Okay, phone call. Is it traditional cellular, or are you using like something? What are you using for calls, video conferencing or whatever?
I usually just call them. But if it's like a really close friend, I might just FaceTime them.
Okay, so FaceTime and regular cellular traditional calling. What social media do you use?
Social media, Snapchat and Instagram. That's about it. I don't really use it too much. I downloaded Facebook just to contact you.
Right. What about Twitter?
Twitter, I do not use that.
That's literally it? Instagram? Snapchat?
Yeah, Instagram, Snapchat. That's it.
Period. And are there advertisements on either Instagram or Snapchat that you view?
Yeah, sometimes like Instagram, I'll be scrolling through Instagram but they would have like advertisements. Like I would follow an account, and that account would post advertisements. Like they're self-sponsored. Like the sponsors would go to that Instagram account, say, "Can you post something about whatever I'm trying to sell?" They'd be like, "Okay," and then they post it, and then people see it.
Okay, so how do you consume news items? So the stuff that's going on right now, how does it make its way? Is it conversations about it from people you know, or do you actually go out to sources like Reuters or stuff like that?
I have this app on my phone. It's for stocks. It just shows all like news about like stock market and stuff. But like common news, I just hear about it like through other people pretty much. I don't really look at like common news, but like stock market news I like to look into, like to see about.
No national at all?
Not too much, unless if it affects the stock market.
Okay, so basically yours comes through like I'm assuming like CNBC,
Yeah.
MSNBC, something like
like,
that.
I forget Investopedia. I like that.
Nice. Okay. And so some national stories make its way, especially because everything affects the stock market.
Yeah,
So you get a helping of financial, stuff that's obligated or connected to the stock market. So what about local stuff? How do you find out like weather and local news and stuff like that?
My dad tells me, but he reads the newspaper, so I get it from my dad.
So technically, you read the newspaper, even if it's secondhand.
Technically,
Technically.
yeah.
So what happens if Dad said, "You know what? If you don't pay me, I'm not feeding you local news." Where would you go to get it?
I probably wouldn't get it.
You just wouldn't care about what was going on.
I mean, I do care like what's going on locally, but I'll probably like my friends would probably post something or they would text me about it if it's like something serious or like tense. But I don't think my dad would ever do that to me.
Okay. Do you have any of the Alexa or Google or Siri? Do you have any of the voice
Siri.
assistants? You have Siri,
Mhm.
and do you use it for a lot of things?
When I'm driving, like I just say, "Hey Siri, like change the song" or something like that, so I don't have to look on my phone. But that's about it.
Okay. Now, you feel like you're technically savvy? Do
More or
people
less.
when you're in on holidays? Do people ask you to program their things and connect their things? And
I mean, like my grandpa would be like, "Can you like set my phone up or like change my brightness?" I don't know how to do that, and I'll just go and help him out with that. But I'm not like a huge tech guy. Like I don't know like a lot about tech. Like, I know like just a little bit.
okay, so you're a go-to for some people.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
Okay. Now, because there's such like this disconnection between old generation, new generation, we make fun of one another a whole lot, right? We take jabs at you, and you take jabs at us, and there really isn't much common ground between the two of us. So, is there anything you want the older generation to know? Is there any messages that we can give them?
Just be open-minded. Like don't just hate smartphones because like your grandsons or like your son or daughters are using it at the table. Like just like it's like a tool you can use. Like it's technology, it advances in. If you get a smartphone, you can do so much on it. You don't have to open up a computer every time you want to check the news. You can just have a phone and it gives you a notification. Like it'll really help advance and help crutch your life and really help you out.
Okay. All right. Well, Brandon's going to stay with us over the next segment here. We're going to get back into some topics, but I wanted to make sure you guys introduce him because this is kind of cool. It lets our audience warm up to new things. That's what we do, right? So whether it be business or technology or generational gaps, we like information spread. So if you have any questions for Brandon and the voice of a generation while we have him here, feel free. 330-729-9977. You can text me at 330-333-1570. You're listening to the Youngstown Computer Show on 570 WKBN. I'll be back.
President Trump announcing that he has been tested for the coronavirus. In the White House briefing room today, the president saying he should get results in a day or two. Mr. Trump praising this country's response to the coronavirus outbreak thus far.
The American people have been incredible in the way they've acted. There's been, and if you look at companies and sports leagues and all of the things, what they've done is just something very special.
The president and everyone in the briefing room had their temperature taken before the briefing. Vice President Mike Pence, minutes later, stepping up to the podium, announcing an expansion of the travel ban.
The president has made a decision to suspend all travel to the United Kingdom and Ireland effective midnight, Monday night, Eastern Standard Time.
Meanwhile, in New York, that state reporting its first coronavirus death. That brings the total number of U.S. deaths from COVID-19 to at least 49. I'm Dave Packer, ABC News.
Make tires for less your first pit stop inside Fairway Ford Canfield. 702 Tires. Tires for less. Proud sponsor of Car Care.
This is Congresswoman Marcia Fudge. Our nation is at a crossroads, with more and more Americans left behind. We need a Democratic nominee who can heal the discord and build a better future. But more than anything, we need someone who can win in November and get Donald Trump out of the White House. That's why this Tuesday, I'll be voting for Joe Biden. I've known and worked with Joe for years. Joe has always championed working families and unions, civil rights and voting rights, and I know he won't leave anyone behind. Joe is a man of great character and humanity, but above all, I believe in winning, because that's where we have to start. And I know that in states like ours, with red districts and blue districts and a lot of purple in between, Joe is the one candidate who can win. Ohio, join me, Congresswoman Marcia Fudge, in voting for Joe Biden this Tuesday. This is our chance.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is the Youngstown Computer Show. I'm Joe Danier, owner of Youngstown Computer, and this is your technology show. We talk about things that are happening in tech, sciences, business, entrepreneurship, finance, whatever's on your grill. Go ahead and call us, 330-729-9977. Brandon is here talking with us. He is the spokesperson for the next generation, so if you have any generational questions, ask him. He's on the hook now. Text message. Joe, I'm 30 and a millennial. Most people who message in calling my generation wimps and whatnot are dead wrong. I'm what I call a working class millennial. Our age range had to become our own IT techs to get the house to run on dial-up internet, and how we've hit a second industrial revolution of sorts. Everything is ran over networks now. For us, it's second nature, but life isn't as simple as it once was, and we have to become more tech-based just to keep up with everything and work as a normal job. P.S. I'm a union utility worker, and we have all kinds of tech now to make sure everything stays up and operational. So thanks for chiming in. And that's what I suggested going into that break, is that you have this disconnect between generations, where the generation will look at what you do and judge you and, sort of ridicule you for what it sees you doing. But each one of these generations becomes its own culture, where it's different from the previous one, because we're moving at like lightning speed. Where what was available technologically 10 years ago is completely different. And so every generation has had to adapt and start bringing in the new technology. Now, some of it is counterproductive. I know there's huge distractions that come along with technology. So if you take a kid and just gets wrapped up into video games and can spend endless hours, compare that to other generations, and there's an analog for what a previous generation was doing with those same hours that were just as counterproductive. It just takes on a different form. So I think that understanding, and I really appreciate that text message. I'm not sure who you are, but appreciate that text message, because that illustrates it, where it's super hard to cut the next generation a break when they seem lazier than you had to be, or seem like they have more tools but they don't take advantage of them than you did. And there's this, I don't know, that it's because you can't get these two groups to work together or see eye and eye, or not walk into the same room and have some kind of underhanded comment. I mean, how do you get the two groups to work on anything substantial? I love sitting in a room full of people that are older than me, and I listen. I just want to know everything that they've experienced. I get so much out of that experience about how it was. And then I love sitting in a room with somebody younger who could tell me how it is. And I can hybridize these things and I can become better because of that information. And if you could just kind of distance yourself and having an opinion about it, that's all. We all just want to give our opinions about stuff. Over the last 6 months, every one of your friends is a financial expert. Everyone is a foreign affairs expert. Everyone is a health and human services expert. I mean, it never ends. And you got me that sit back, and I'm a jokester and I like my sarcasm. But man, I get so much out of just the influences of people ahead of me and behind me, that if you just shut up for 2 seconds, you can learn a ton, because we're surrounded by this information. So, Bern, I want to ask you one quick thing that I meant to ask you. So one of the biggest ridicules is that the social interaction is a lot harder in your groups because of how dependent we are on that. So do you see in-person conversations harder than texting conversations? Have we lost that skill?
Honestly, I haven't really experienced anything like that. Like me and like everyone around my age group, like if we go out and like get something to eat, like we would most likely be communicating with each other. But I do see sometimes like I'll go to dinner with my friends' parents and they would all be on their phones and like they wouldn't be communicating. And I was raised good by my mom and dad, and they taught me not to have fun at the table and stuff. So I'm just like looking around at everyone on the phone playing games and stuff. I'm like, what is happening? What has this world come to?
Yeah, they're right next to each other. Talk.
I was like, what is happening? Like,
so is that prevalent? You still notice that even at school? When can you have phones in school? By the way,
we can have phones in school, but you're not allowed to have them in class unless the teacher says so.
Okay, you think that's a problem? Do you think having phones by high school kids is an issue?
I don't really think that's too much of a problem. I mean, for some kids it is because they can get off it, but most people in my school are pretty content with just not using their phone.
Okay, if you want to, you can call 330-729-9977, or you can text me at 330-333-1570. Brandon's going to be here with us for the next segment, so if you have any questions, and what's super valuable about this audience is a lot of us should get to know your generation better, but there's got to be sort of like an olive branch, a practical reason to get one generation in the room with the other one, because think about it. What I told you guys at the competition, as these aged entrepreneurs are retiring, the younger guys aren't coming into the business world. There just aren't enough of yous who want to go out there and pick up that torch and go for it. And that scares the crap out of me, that I feel like I'm pretty young in this, and I don't see a line behind me of even people who are going to take my place once I don't feel like doing the high risk stuff anymore. So I'd really like. Are you familiar with SCORE?
SCORE, no, I'm not.
Okay, so basically there's this organization, nonprofit, and it's basically retired entrepreneurs. Okay, so all they do is you call SCORE up and say, hey, I want to talk to somebody who's been there, and they'll line you up with someone who's retired from an industry that you're interested in, and they'll take you out to lunch, and they'll sit down with you, and they'll just talk to you about that industry and give you sound, good advice about it. Wow. So, all right, 330-729-9977. I got some text messages to read. We got some more to talk about in the next half hour. You're listening to the Youngstown Computer Show on 570 WKBN. I'll be back.
At Fairway Ford in Canfield, we have more new and used trucks on the ground than 8 of our nearest competitors combined. Who's going to work harder to give you the best deal? The dealer with 20 trucks or the dealer with over 600? This is Eric Clark with over 600 trucks at Fairway Ford in Canfield. Call us at 330-5334 or fairwayfordohio.com. We're not only driving our local competition crazy, we're beating the biggest dealers in the nation, too. Right here in beautiful Canfield, Ohio. Fairway, that's the way we do business.
Here's some of the stories we're following today. The man being treated in Trumbull County for coronavirus at St. Joseph Warren Hospital has been identified. Youngstown State says all on-campus courses will be delivered remotely starting March 23rd through the end of the semester. Students do not have to return to campus after spring break. Hollywood Gaming in Austintown made an announcement to players last night telling them to cash out because they were closing due to the coronavirus. It comes after the governor in Ohio banned mass gatherings of 100 people or more. A Kinsman man was taken to the hospital after a head-on collision on Route 193 in Johnston Township. A pair of Youngstown shooting suspects have been indicted, charged with a shooting at a Wayside Drive home that injured 2 victims. Mahoney County Sheriff Jerry Green announced yesterday visitation of prisoners at the Mahoney County Adult Justice Center will be suspended. A Youngstown man accused of providing an East Palestine man with drugs that took his life a year ago has been indicted, and 3 men, 2 of them firefighters, are in the Lawrence County Jail accused of going on an arson spree. From the Columbiana Cadillac Buick Chevrolet Newsroom, drivecolumbiana.com, I'm Dave Price.
Our next update at 3. From the O'Charley's Digital Studios, $9.99 menu, 9 great meals, 1 great price. O'Charley's. For your home or business, call Mazza's Heating and AC in Girard, 330-545-6063. Your factory authorized Bryant dealer. Now, the Storm Team 27 forecast.
By this afternoon, clouds increase. Temperatures work their way to the low 40s, and by late day, early evening, the chance for rain or rain-snow mix will be possible. Tonight, that rain-snow mix continues, not adding up to much, very little accumulation, temperatures dipping into the upper 20s. In the Storm Team 27 Weather Center, I'm Alexis Walters.
Men are raving about Ageless Male Tonight.
The absurdly fast formula from the #1 brand in male enhancement. Just take one capsule an hour before romantic activity. The results will not go unnoticed. You can get Ageless Male tonight without a prescription and without sharing your private info on the web. No questionnaires, no online test. Just get to your local Walmart or 7-Eleven and see results tonight.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/trial. That's ZipRecruiter.com/trial.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is the Youngstown Computer Show. I am Joe Danier, owner of Youngstown Computer. Phone lines are open. Fill them up, 330-729-9977. Frank texted me here over that break, and Frank's one of those guys that I follow him on Facebook, and a real provocative guy, says stuff that not real, afraid of tangling with people, has some insight on the remote learning stuff and the sort of the digital version of education. So, Frank, I do invite you call in. We'll give you a little segment here to talk about that as well. A couple text messages to get caught up on. You're right, Joe. Sitting in a room with both younger and older people, we can learn a lot from both. And that's the big thing. We live in a culture that wants to, when you're listening to someone, you're waiting to speak, right? So you're not really listening to what they have to say. You're looking about volleying what you have to say. And I'm one of those guys. I'm a sponge. When I walk into a room, I don't really have much to offer, but I want to collect. I want to see what everybody has to say. And it puts me in a good position because when I get to, there isn't a person out there in any spectrum that I can't learn something from. And so if you put me in the same room with an executive versus anybody across the spectrum, I can prod until I learn something from that individual. So that's what you got to shut up and listen to people is my big message. And I know that's it's not I don't know. Anyway, 330-729-9977. Let's go to David. David, you're on the Youngstown Computer Show. How can I help you?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I have a question for your guest because he mentioned Instagram and Snapchat.
Yes.
And what I was interested in is, do either of those, I'm not familiar with them, tell you that right off the start, but can either of those be used for video chatting, like on like the way Skype is used, or the way FaceTime is used? If you have an iPhone, in order to have FaceTime, it's my understanding it has to be iPhone devices. It doesn't work on Android systems.
Yeah, Snapchat does have a feature where you can like FaceTime someone, like kind of like the actual FaceTime feature. Or if you want, you could like send videos of yourself to people. But if you want to have like an actual communication call, like Snapchat has that feature. I don't really know much about Instagram if it has that, because I don't really use it as much as Snapchat, but I know Snapchat has
So
that.
you could hold your phone in front of you. Sorry to interrupt. So you could hold your phone in front of you on using Snapchat, and the person you're communicating with would see you, and they're watching you talk to them, and you're watching them. You could do that with Snapchat?
Yeah, you can.
Is there like a time limit, where you can only do that for a minute and a half or so? You can't do like a 20-minute discussion?
I'm pretty sure you can go as long as you want.
Limit?
To my knowledge, I'm pretty sure you can go as long as you want. I haven't really tested that, though. So.
Well, that's very valuable because I'm trying to figure out a way to communicate with my students. And I was going to use Skype, but there's some issues with it. And I'm sorry, when you were answering my question, did you say, am I correct about FaceTime only being between iPhone devices?
No, I think it's Android. I think you could do FaceTime on Apple devices, so iPads, iPhones, stuff like that.
Yeah, Apple devices.
Yes.
That's what I meant. It's only useful. You can only use FaceTime on Apple devices.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. That was very valuable to me. I appreciate it.
All right,
The other thing, Joe, I was going to ask you was, when you change the times of your broadcast because of the Cleveland Indian games, when there's a conflict, do you put that anywhere? Like, is there somewhere I could go to find out when you are going to be on next, or or a different time or maybe a different day or something because of the Cleveland Indian broadcast conflict?
Well, a lot of these schedules I'm finding out super late, so I don't have a lot of time to let everybody know that it's going to be a shortened show. We'll try to get better at that as publishing a schedule a little wider out there, a little bit further out in advance.
Like maybe even on your own company website or something.
Yeah, we could totally do
on
that.
On the Youngstown Computer Shop, website. That would be
absolutely.
Good. Even there, it would be great.
Okay, David, thank you so much. Appreciate you being out there.
Thank you.
All right, take care. And I believe this is going to be Frank. Frank, you're on the Youngstown Computer Show. How can I help you?
Joe, how are you? Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely.
And being on your show.
Sure. Yeah, what do you got?
First of all, let me say, I want to dispel a myth that's been perpetrated about our kids and in the education system and being learners. Often we hear that our kids score the lowest on exams and tests compared to kids in foreign countries. And I would like everyone to know that is a complete lie. Our kids are the most educated, most aware kids in the world today. We have what happens with the test scores is that other kids have privy to use technology. They use technology in every facet of their education. And that's only kids in the larger metropolitans of these other countries. So categorically, our kids are number one. But I just wanted to say that first of all. You have anything specifically for me, or you
well,
just
okay.
Want me
So when we compare, like you said, that Asia, where culturally they're willing to put more up, there more stresses, no emphasis on education, more technology at play, and you compare that to culturally what we're willing to do as far as education. So that's basically what you're saying, is that it's not that our kids aren't as bright, but when you take two systems, it's out of alignment.
Right. Asian math and other math kids that we hear that score well in mathematics, they not only, study algebra, they not only study the basic math, geometry, trigonometry, calculus, they combine all that and they teach it in a relatable fashion. So kids skip around, as opposed to an American system, we teach one subject at a time. And then if you're successful through that subject, then you go to the next, algebra 1, algebra 2, and on, which is kind of mundane, and it burns a lot of kids off. So the other thing is that with this coronavirus scare and our schools closing down, it's a blessing in disguise for our educational systems, our schools, the way we teach face-to-face learning is an antiquated, outdated system that is doomed to fail. Now we're faced with learning online. The teacher that called earlier wanting to know how to communicate with his kids, is just an example. Many of our educators, our classroom teachers, have a disconnect with technology. They don't really know how to apply it to the learning system and teaching kids, teaching digital age kids. These kids grew up with digital technology, like my kids. I have young kids at home, and they're in front of computers right now. They grew up with this. An old guy like me, I was well past college before I really got into computers. So the teachers think that, and the educational leaders think that they can buy a software and a learning system online, like K-12 right now is very popular. They can buy that online and incorporate it and think learning is going to happen. Austintown tried that. It did not work. K-12 is a nice software. It meets all the requirements, but it's not a good learning model for our students. There's some good ones out there like Apex, which is used for credit recovery, which is very, very popular. And I've used these systems. I've gone through these systems. And, I'm not just talking off my head. I have a master's degree in that subject area from Kent State University. So it's just kind of a blessing that we are at this stage now where we're forced to come up to the standards, increase our standards in education.
Okay, so Frank, either system I don't have much experience with. Can you break it down and tell me the comparison, like why Apex is better than K-12?
There's several key things in learning online. First of all, you got to have engagement. You got to have the students being able and being overtly enough to communicate back and forth online. Once that's accomplished, learning can occur. The other thing is that, and that's through text messages, emails, discussion lines, things like that. Once that's accomplished, the other big hurdle for kids learning online is alerts. You have to alert them when assignments are due. You have to alert them to do their academic investigations and research and projects and labs and things like that are coming up. That once you've accomplished that, then you could and make that comfortable for a student. Then you can learn. Now the K-12 as opposed to Apex, K-12 has all the bells and whistles. However, they think if you put it in front of a student's going to read it. No one likes to read online, So to think a student is going to read a body of information and then come up with the right answer is wrong. That's just not going to happen. K-12 software depends on the student being disciplined enough to learn like that. You only learn that at the college level, and it's kind of iffy at that point. As opposed to Apex actually reads the body of information for you. You can follow along. Okay, how does that help? The end result is comprehension. You want the student to learn the information. You want them to synthesize the information so they can apply it and use it and come up with the correct answers. When they're looking at the testing and and that part of it. So that's the major disconnect between K-12 and Apex, and through quantum computing now, you probably know a bit about it. Quantum computing is at the point where it's making computer users and students, learners, to be able to manipulate lab equipment as if they were in a lab, not clunky, clicking and dragging, but having actual applications and actual experiments that are very realistic. So that's coming in the future. It's happening right now. We just need to apply it, and I hope our educators and educational system, educators and leaders adopt that, not just buy something off the shelf and put it in front of a student and say, "Oh, you can learn now online." It's just not going to work.
So why are these practices evolving so slowly? If the technology's out there, what's the resistance to them going mainstream?
Well, you have the teachers union.
Okay.
You have the administrators with their, all these people are employed. All these people are working in brick and mortar buildings. I mean, it's an industry. It's an institution. And to say, okay, the institution is flawed. Let's throw out the institution. Let's do something that's new and usable and workable that's being used all over the world. It's like, what kind of resistance are you going to get? You're going to get a ton of resistance. Teachers, licensed teachers, if you want to teach, you have to suck it up and learn how to apply technology to your present learning techniques and methods and curriculums. Boardman Intermediate School, and I've been in all the schools in this area, every one of them, all the county schools and city schools. Boardman Intermediate on Market Street is the best school in this area that incorporates technology into everyday classroom learning. They make it a point. And I don't know, I think it's just an atmosphere and conduct for those teachers. But they are the only one that does that. Everybody else is push a packet of information in front of a student, complete it, and we assume that they learn if they score better. So does that make any sense?
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing that information. That's good stuff to think about. And I appreciate you doing what you do out there. I'll be following along on social media.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, Frank. And if you want to follow, that's Frank Bellamy. And, I did notice the same thing when I was at Boardman School. But asking you, Brandon, while I have you here, Champion, how are they doing as far as integrating or implementing that stuff that he was talking about?
Like Champion, there's like different teachers who have like their own method of teaching. Like some teachers would be like more old school, than other teachers would be like new school and like up to date with everything. Like what he was saying, like you just lay down a packet and expect them to learn it if you score well. Like he is 100% correct. I would just memorize facts, not actually learn it. Like for example, biology. Like I would not like careful learning it. I would just like memorize certain facts and certain things just to get a good grade score. But if I didn't have to focus so much on the grade score, more on learning it, I would comprehend it and learn it a lot more rather than just focusing on getting a better grade score.
So there are some innovators there who are trying different things. Okay, well, and that's the thing. Like when what Frank did was he illustrated that a school district is doing it, in Boardman doing it well, and then they can model it for other schools and point out. Now, the problem with it is no matter what you do from what's being done now, there are going to be pros and cons. And so the people who are resistant to change are going to be really quick to point out the flaws and have that be the reason that we don't do that. Because like he said, this is a disruptive thing. But when you don't take education and make it palatable, like the reason I asked how you consume media, because if I was going to deliver a product, I have to know what you do. Not like I'm either going to have to educate you to do different things, or I'm going to have to give you stuff in a form that you're already doing in order for you to do it. Like that's what Frank was saying there is if you don't do that, you can put all the words, sophisticated words you want in front of someone, and if they don't pick it up and read it, what good did it do? Okay, and then so if we innovate through this, like I'm an auditory learner. Right, so you can put a book in front of me, and I can read the same paragraph 15 different times, and I'd have to keep reading it to have any kind of understanding.
I know exactly what you mean.
I can put an audiobook on 2 rooms away, be halfway listening to it, and get more out of that listening than I would if I were reading it. Now, if you did it audio and I was reading it, I could say it. Like I could put the TV on, put closed captioning on, and I follow the stories a little bit better when the sounds change and whatever. But my learning ability is so pivotal on the auditory side. But if you just, like I said, you can make me feel like an idiot by saying you read the words there, and if you didn't comprehend it, I would be a moron. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. And that can really hurt like a kid's confidence on how smart they are. Because I know that happened to me too. Because I would read something not comprehended, then I'll get horrible scores, and I'll really hurt my confidence, make me feel like an idiot, make me feel like I'm not good enough. But just completely ruin my self-esteem and how smart I am.
Right, and so what Frank said is that this is a little bit of a blessing, where that these things wrenches are being thrown into the gears, not on purpose, but it's inevitable that they needed that to happen to try different things, because what's your choice? You know what I mean? Because sending everybody a textbook and doing textbook work when you're sitting at home is not going to fly. You know, even lecture is diminishing as someone's, a professor stands at the beginning of the front of the class and just lectures with a whiteboard behind them. Again, your generation consumes it different, so that stuff just isn't going to be effective if your end result is that you want people to be smarter.
I feel like part of it's motivation too, because I would learn this so much better if I actually had motivation to learn. If I feel like it would help benefit me in the future, but some of it's I really do not care about this stuff. I just doing it to get through school. But if I feel like I had really high motivation to get good grades and learn it all, I feel like I could learn a lot better too. So I feel like part of it's just laying down a piece of paper expecting you to read it, and I feel like another part of it is finding motivation in students to actually learn the stuff.
Well, a lot of the part of motivation in the business world is explaining the practicality of why you do certain things, and then you can buy into the what if you know why you're doing it. Now, how does educators do in telling you you're learning X? Here's the reason why. Here's how it connects to other things.
Government, that's why I like government a lot, and that's probably why it's one of my better grades, because I feel like I can learn a lot and I can apply most of the skills into a real world experience with government, contrary to math.
Right. Okay, we're going to take a break. Dan, I see you out there. We're going to try to take your call as soon as we get back from this break. Try to get that in pretty quick. 330-729-9977. You're listening to the Youngstown Computer Show on 570 WKBN. I'll be back.
The President of the United States has been tested for COVID-19. Mr. Trump at a White House briefing today.
I decided I should, based on the press conference yesterday. People were asking, did I take the test? I don't know, whatever it takes, a day or 2 days, whatever it is. They send it to a lab.
At that same briefing, Vice President Mike Pence announcing an effort to stop the spread of the coronavirus and expansion of the European travel restrictions.
The president has made a decision to suspend all travel to the United Kingdom and Ireland effective midnight Monday night.
In New York, that state's first coronavirus death, but Governor Andrew Cuomo says he's not yet closing all schools in the state.
If you close the schools, there are people who will not show up for work the next day.
And the New York Archdiocese now canceling all masses this weekend. In Italy, the center of the European outbreak, the number of coronavirus deaths has topped 1,441. The number of people infected approaching 18,000. Dave Packer, ABC News.
You want that new or used vehicle, but your credit score isn't exactly what you need? You work hard, you've always paid your bills. Who can you turn to? Hi, this is Tino Merlo from Toyota of Warren. Stop in and see me or my staff. Toyota of Warren's here to help, and we can get you financed.
Four Seasons Flea Market at 3000 McCartney Road, open every Wednesday and Sunday from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. with close to 100 small businesses under one roof, all offering something different, like fresh produce, baked goods, fresh flowers, sports memorabilia, masseuse, and palm reader. Or how about knives and more for the outdoorsman? Four Seasons Flea Markets offers homemade oils and scents, plus T-shirts and pet items. Stop by Four Seasons Flea Market, McCartney Road in Youngstown.
The free iHeartRadio app is always here to make sure you have access to the information you need to stay connected and informed during uncertain times. iHeartRadio allows you to access your favorite stations anytime and anywhere, plus 24/7 national news channels like NBC News Radio. We even have frequently updated podcasts in our health category, like CNN's Coronavirus, Fact versus Fiction, and our own daily coronavirus podcast with multiple updates per day. Always free and there when you need to stay informed. Download the iHeartRadio app.
All right, we are back. This is the Youngstown Computer Show, and I'm here with Brendan Mackhammer. And we're talking about generational gaps in education, and just he was the mentoree at the Junior Achievement Titan Challenge, talking about things, remote learning, and all kind of stuff all over the board. But I said we were going to get to Dan's call as soon as we came back, so let's see what Dan needs. Dan, you're on the Youngstown Computer Show. How can I help you?
Yeah, real quick. I heard you talking to that gentleman about Skype and Snapchat and all that. Well, I have my kids. They live in different states, and I'm an Android person, and they're an iPhone person. And I used an app called Duo, D-U-O. It's a free app, and then they download it, and it's just like FaceTime. It's just as good. It's clear, everything.
Okay, you said Duo, and that is runs on tablets and phones. Is that right?
Yeah, you just got to get the app like a Play Store, and it's called DUO, and it's perfect. The picture's perfect. One lives in Florida. I'm here in Ohio. I talk to him all the time, face to face, just like FaceTime.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate that. We have the best audience. I mean, if I don't know it, there are hundreds of people out there that are just chomping at the bit. So thank you, Dan. Appreciate that. That is called Duo. Text messages. You can also use Google Duo for Android video calls. So exactly what Dan said there. So thank you, Texter. The guy who wanted to use FaceTime, he can use something similar by using Messenger. This works on Apple and Android devices. All right. Thank you for that text message. And then Remote PC has full-featured 30-day 50 PC trial with whiteboard. That is called Remote PC. So another suggestion of great products. These are the users that are using this stuff in the field right now. So I figured I'd throw that out there, and if you have some experience. So we have Team Viewer, which is a free app for personal use. You have Go to Assist, which is a paid subscription app where you can take over remote access. You have Remote Desktop that's already built into Windows PCs that takes a little bit of port forwarding to be able to get to work. You have VPN, where you can participate in the network either by connecting into a server that's hosting or through a router. And then you basically interact with your files and stuff as if you were sitting there in the office. So these are all important fixtures in doing remote access, especially these are contemplations that we have when we think that we might have some separation between us and our jobs for a little while to be able to get stuff done. So all of that stuff, like I said, we're going to start with our current customers and make sure that everybody who wants remote access is done. And then if you also have something that you need and you're not a current customer, feel free, 330-259-7278. I don't want to dissuade you from offering that. I just want to make sure everybody knows, especially current customers, that they're priority first. Make sure that everybody gets satisfied, because a lot of requests are coming in, because this is happening a whole lot of stuff is happening in a short period of time, and we want to make sure that we keep up, with those requests. So we also talked about the curve where education needs to keep up with how things are going, and as Frank said, that if this forces our hand in making some of this stuff more aware. A phone call that I'd like to make over this week is down at the business incubator downtown, Youngstown Business Incubator. I did a walkthrough down there, and they had a classroom that was set up where they had an instructor that was sitting in front of a nice big screen and a camera and a keyboard and a headset with a microphone on it. And that instructor was leading a class that was somewhere else. And I'd really like to know what they use and what they're doing, because I see that as the classroom of the future, where you have someone that you can connect to a bunch of people, and not, his screen was filled with the students that he can interact and have conversations real time. So where these one-to-one things are interesting with FaceTime and individuals, what about when you have a bunch of people that need to interact with you all at the same time? So you have one instructor and you have a bunch of people that's watching. So maybe Barb, we can connect with over this week, and I can bring back that information to the table, and that way we can all learn about what's to expect. But I hope all of the school districts take the Boardman models and some of the more innovators up in Champion, use those as our laboratories and see what works and see what doesn't. And let's just be open to those changes and see what kind of innovations can spawn out of that. That's what my message would be. And so, Brandon, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you coming in, and best of luck to you. All right. All right. We'll be back next week. You have now listened to the Youngstown Computer Show on 570 WKM. Thanks up.